time.
Thank the Lord it's Thursday and we meet each other again. The WIP crew is ready for this virtual event. The seas might be rough but we will have a jolly time. Is everybody here? Are the avatars in line? There's so much going on in the NFT world. It seems like uncharted sea. Let Matthew and Rizzle guide us through. The speaker is ready and so are we. Let's keep sailing on the metaverse. Thursdays when the lightning strikes. So listen up, there's a lot to learn. Keep the treasure in your sight. Please no one get the veggie draw. Just upgrade your microphone. Together we're strong, we ain't gonna stop. Welcome to the WIP Meetup.
Boom, there we go. Quick mic check. Y'all can hear me okay? Good, there we go. What's up, everyone? This is Matthew, aka Nifty Time. Welcome back to another WIP. For those of you not in America, I know it's a different time for everyone else. We had the daylight saving situation, so now it's like 8 p.m. UTC instead of 7 p.m. It's always a cluster, but I'm seeing strong turnout, so it seems like the message got through to a lot of folks, so I'm stoked for that. We have an awesome show, as always, in store for everyone today. We have the magnificent Swopes with us, who will be previewing and talking about their upcoming drop on Nifty Gateway titled Surreal Visions, a digital reimagining of art history. Very excited about that and the dynamic elements that we've baked into that. Literally just right before the WIP got everything finalized with that. So hopefully we can get a preview for folks there. And also the legend Patrick Amadon will be joining us and will be giving us an update on, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure something 404 related. And honestly, I would love if they peeled back the curtain on a crazy ass project that they're planning that I don't want to reveal any details about, because once it hits, it's going to blow people's minds. But enough bloviating from me. Want to get into the show today. Before we do that, we'll kick the mic to my dude Rizzle to give the lay of the land and to get this hype train rolling today.
Excuse me. Yo, can I get a mic check?
Perfect.
Yes. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is sort of like a last minute thing with the worm cycles that just sort of like came together. Shout out Fabiano and Patrizia for creating these things. And then I, happened to hit up Paradox and I was like, yo, dude, do you think we can ride these? And 9/0 like hooked us up with some worm cycles to ride. So everyone who's here today is getting a free one. So little housekeeping stuff just to make sure we're on the same page. If you are new to the WIP or haven't been here in a while, we are in the general channel of the Discord. So that's where like the main chat and like link dropping and GIFs and stuff like that is going on. So all the important stuff is in the general channel. So find us there. And there's a guest book on the stage. There's a whole bunch of people milling around it right now. I'm the giant avocado standing next to it. It looks like Elbo's a banana. You can come find us up on the stage, and that's how you're going to get your worm cycle. And it's just a Google Doc link. You should be able to click right through it and sign the guest book and everything. So that'll be open, so don't worry about doing it like right this second. And if you have trouble accessing it, just hit me up, and I'll make sure you get a guest book link and a worm cycle and everything. So everyone will get a worm cycle. So for your participation award. Let's see, what else? If you're new to Hyperfy, a couple things. If you double tap spacebar, you'll be able to fly. If you walk up to one of these worm cycles, you'll be able to click on it and get on it. There's a whole bunch of code trip vehicles. So while we're listening to our guests today, feel free to take a tour around the parcel and crash into some things and see if you can split the banners for today's guests on the ramp. What else? Check your hidden folders. Y'all know if you've been coming week after week, we've been sending out stuff to you, and a lot of that ends up in hidden folders because it's on Polygon. So make sure you're checking your hidden folders periodically to make sure you know all the good things that you have. Let's see. I'm not gonna ramble on too long. I'm excited to hear from today's guests, a couple legends on the stage with us today. If you do have questions for them, please direct them to show in the chat at SHO, and show will relay those questions to our guests at the end of their, speech. I don't know, presentation, something. I don't know. That makes it sound really formal. We're just all hanging out with like cool people in Web3, right? So after all this is said and done, we're going to take a ridiculous group shot in the parcel. So like I said, as you're listening, hop into the parcel, ride around, grab a worm. We're going to take a nice shot at the end with Paradox. And I think that's about everything. Shout out to Brookhawk and Metageist, and a lot of people have been helping us out with this like donation idea. Yes, we're broke, give us money, right? And now we got like a nice QR code on stage. Brookhawk just DM me some more sophisticated version of that. We're trying to like put in place and everything. So we are getting organized. Ballistic Banana, is he one of the people? Yes, Ballistic Banana hooked us up immediately to the WIP Meetup.eth. Thank you very much, Ballistic Banana. Metageist sent us some change a couple weeks ago or a week ago or something. So we really appreciate it. I say it every week, but we do this stuff for free, week in and week out. Although not completely, because Ballistic Banana and Metageist hooked us up a little bit. But for the most part, we are broke, and that doesn't change very often. This is like metaverse public broadcasting. So if you donate to the WIPmeetup.eth or use the QR code, same thing, it goes to the crew, gets automatically chopped up via OX splits, and we are completely shameless. If you have like cool stuff you want us to give out to our audience, we love free stuff, and our audience does too, and we can work it into some of our events. So shout out to the crew who makes this happen week in, week out. Foxy Yoga, Easy, Paradox Show, Dragonate, Conwolf the Stowaway, Brookhawk the Chef, Fabiano, Patrizia, Fractilians, Johan, Matthias, Pat, Ziggy, Matt, and I have a special announcement today. You see like all these scouts. I don't know if y'all were paying attention when Metageist dropped. He said if you get a scout, you put it in your thing, it'll like attract other things or something like that. And we caught the big fish. Metageist is joining the WIP crew officially today to help us out. So welcome Metageist to the fam. And he's going to be pitching in and doing some awesome shit with us. So with the scouts worked, thank you, Metageist. And with that, I'm going to hot potato it back to Matt. I'm not sure who we want to have go first here, but I'm really excited to hear from our guests today. And like I said, if you have questions for them, direct them to show in the chat.
Yeah, let's kick things off with Swopes. I see her chilling at the bottom of the list here. Swopes, unmute.
What up,
Intro
what
yourself
up?
and tell folks about what you got planned with Surreal Visions.
Of course. I heard everybody else do a mic check, so I feel like I have to do the same.
Oh, your mic
How
is
am I
very
sounding?
crispy. Sounds very good.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love to hear that actually. Crispy is like the perfect word. Yeah, really happy to be here. Thank you, Matthew. Nice to meet you, Rizzle. I mean, I had to like pick my jaw off the floor, to be honest with you. Coming in here, it's like a whole freaking dance like off happening. And then you guys are like like you got this crazy intro. I'm like just always impressed every time I come into any community, just how situated y'all get and how community based you are. Like this is so impressive and so exciting. So just thank you for for just having me here and being a part of what you guys are building. It's really impressive and so fun. But yeah, my name is Elise Swopes, and usually people are like, "What's your last name?" And I'm like, "My last name is Swopes. Been my last name for my whole life. And I've been an artist for my whole life. I have been creating art since I was like a kid. I was homeschooled until I was in 4th grade, and my dad was my teacher, and he taught me how to create and learn and express myself on the internet. And basically, I taught myself how to own my first website by the time I was 10 years old that taught other people how to build their own websites. I was giving like tutorials and tons of coding, and I was owning like a forum, and it was, I don't know, I was like kind of just a kid who was obsessed with kind of navigating and controlling the way that I was creating friends and expressing myself, and building websites based on that was just really exciting. So there was no surprise by the time MySpace came around that I was in, I think I was probably like 13 And by the time I was 13-ish, I had about like 250,000 friends on MySpace. So I was definitely like selling MySpace layouts. I love to say this favorite story of when I've sold like MySpace layouts for McDonald's cheeseburgers at lunch because this girl Bianca would always have her mom bring her lunch, and I was like, I'll make you a MySpace for, some cheeseburgers and some fries. And so her mom brought me some lunch. And honestly, that was the time I was like, I think I'm pretty good at this. So things after then just shifted pretty quickly. I mean, I obviously like not being someone who went into school right away. Once I did get back in public school, I was such a troublemaker. I didn't like listening to my teachers. I didn't like really going to class. So it really wasn't any surprise either when I like fake started college, where I failed like every single one of my classes, because I just wanted to like be in Chicago. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to be in the streets and like experience things and be a photographer and um, barely a photographer, but more of a graphic designer. I was also a rapper at the time too. I used to be in this rap group called Treated Crew, and I was doing pretty okay, I guess, but I didn't like being in the studio at like 3 a.m. So I found this like interesting new app called Instagram that was like I'd never heard of. And mind you, I'm a broke college dropout, like never grew up with money whatsoever. But I went on Craigslist and I found this broken iPhone 4, and I downloaded Instagram, this new platform in 2010, and just started posting like things like everybody else was posting. I don't know, pictures of like mac and cheese and stuff. And like, I don't know, I guess I went to South by Southwest for the first time ever. Um, so I just posted like a screenshot of the Google Maps, like from Chicago to South by, because I was in like this crazy van with like 10 other people, driving from Chicago to Austin, Texas. But so I wasn't really taking it that serious. But then I found like a couple people on there who were taking photos with their iPhones. And I was like, maybe I should just have fun with this a little more, express myself the same way I always have on the internet, my whole life. And so uh, I pretty much uh, just kept consistent. Started shooting photos of landscapes in Chicago, cityscapes, edited those in like all these different apps, and made these surreal different types of edits. And Instagram eventually kind of caught on to my work, I suppose. And I woke up one day and I was getting thousands of followers, and I was just kind of like, well, I don't know what's going on, but I'm with it. And mind you, I'm also like dating my now fiance. This is like 13 years ago. And his name is Trash Hand. He's a great photographer, and we neither of us were photographers when we met each other 13 years ago. But he was like, "Oh, I think you're a suggested user." And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And he's like, "Well, a suggested user is when like your face pops up when people sign up for Instagram, and you get and they follow you because you're kind of like the basis or the example of how people should use Instagram." So I was getting thousands and thousands of followers a day, and this is like in the first kind of serious point of Instagram where everyone's signing up. It's like a really big deal. And so I'm like one of the first people to like do a project with Nike, one of the first people to do a lot of really crazy things on Instagram, from the first agency to the first signed to the first agency to the first tons of deals and partnerships to tons of partnerships with agencies and brands and companies, to Apple, to Adidas, to Adobe, to so many people. And so um, over time, I've obviously just grown my business and my brand. I did a lot of like free stuff at first, but um, you know, eventually became like more business savvy, learned through all the different experiences, and have since partnered with just so many people across the world, from NBC to Logitech, Chicago Bulls. I threw out the first pitch at the Cubs game. I have a TED Talk. I've worked with McDonald's. I've been in a McDonald's commercial, Uniqlo, Sony. man, like Burger King, Method, Kellogg's. Like I've worked with everybody. I mean, you could probably name somebody, and I've definitely worked with them at some point. And this has been like over 13 years. So I eventually, and I'll get closer to like the NFT stuff in good time. I don't want to take up too much time, but and I just want to like preface just who I am because it's really it does all matter. But eventually, one of my biggest things that kind of happened towards the beginning of 2020 when I went on vacation with Will and Jada Pinkett Smith for their Just Water, and I shot a commercial for Jada. I was in the Maldives with them. It was amazing. Will was directing right next to me. And then like a couple months later, I had dinner with Kanye at the Ralph Lauren store in Chicago. So there was like a lot that happened like um, uh, right before COVID. And so I actually had moved from Chicago to New York in March 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. And I can't really stop moving, like, can't really stop moving your life. And and again, I'm only name dropping because I'm just saying from a standpoint of someone who's started from absolutely nothing and has been a broke college dropout and has since graduated college last year, by the way. Anyway, but so coming now into this point of life, it's 2020. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm still making content, still working with different brands. And I hear about NFTs. And mind you, I've worked with people on projects in the past with Adobe. My friend Jan Silva, I've worked with a lot in the past. We're both Instagrammers, came up together. My friend Dave Krugman, we've all known each other for years. Tons of different names and tons of great people who were already in NFTs and doing a great job. And I was like, okay, if the homies are doing it, I should probably do it. And so I sat down and I really like dug deep, studied what everybody was doing, studied what I wanted to do, studied like what even an NFT was. I mean, I had no clue what I was even doing. My response was like to put a digital download on my website. But anyway, so I finally figured out like my plan, got accepted in a super rare in February 2021, sold my first piece for 10,000. And then the next one for 18,000, the next one for 20, and then the next one for 30. And this was at a really nice time, obviously. And then I had my next collections with Nifty, which was the giraffe in the city, which was a crazy collection. One of my favorite collections I've ever done in my entire life. And when I talk about it, people freak out. But I'm like traveled to 5 different cities and promoted giraffe displacement in partnership with the Kenyan giraffe conservation. They gave me giraffe photos, and I went to Chicago, Atlanta, New York. There's like a couple other places I can't remember now, but all in 5 days to showcase like how hard it is to not stay in one place in one day. And so I shot all these pictures to just showcase like just the world and stuff. I always have like a deep message a little bit and sometimes on my work, but um and then, of course, Attempting the Impossible was like an ode to Renee Magritte, who is one of the most amazing surrealists. But we'll talk a little bit about more my new collection, I'm sure, as I've prefaced quite a bit so far. But now we're here, and I also have a Web3 impact agency, and we have a really, really big party we're planning with one of the biggest wallet providers out there in the world. I can't say exactly what yet. I don't know if I can, but December 7th, hold the date at Art Basel. All of that.
Oh my God. Like I
Oh,
said, I feel like your resume
didn't
is
say
everything that you haven't done because you've done everything else. That's insane.
it.
But with the upcoming drop, do we want to kind of drop the link and let folks look at the 4 works and have you kind of talk about what's behind it, the dynamic states? What do you think you want to say about the upcoming drop for next Wednesday?
Yeah, that'd be great. I apologize. I'm getting like a ton of calls at this very moment. I don't know why people are calling me at this very second. So if I go in and out, that is what's happening. But so the collection that's happening now, and I'm looking at the page now, and I'm like, I would love to redo the cover, but that's fine. We'll have that conversation later. But the pieces are pieces that I'm really, really excited about. They are all very much an ode to, and mentioning my last collection, the ode to Rene Magritte, who was one of the original surrealists of our time. And of course, he's a male. And we don't talk enough about the women who really were a lot of the innovators and often who are overlooked, and really brought a lot of the contributions. And so a lot of the work that I made is an ode to Dorothea Tanning, Gertrude Abercrombie, Helen Lundberg, and Remedios Varo, who are some of the most iconic freaking people ever. And I hope that when I mention their names, or at least I acknowledge them, that people are able to like look more deeply into their work, to see who they were, to learn more about their stories, and realizing how in depth these women were into all the other lives of all the other iconic people that we always talk about, from Salvador Dali to Rene Magritte to, Max Ernst. Like Max Ernst was married to one of them. All these really amazing people that everyone is consistently thinking about in surrealism, in which these women were really side by side with them. And so I think one of the things that I really wanted to do was showcase, like, and this is something I also was kind of enabling with the Rene Magritte collection, attempting the impossible, was that reminding people that we're living in history right now. Like it's a crazy time, especially being an iPhone artist myself. Like I'm one of the first iPhone artists who have sold the NFTs in the way that I have, or at least have worked with brands or anyone and that I have. Like I've created work with some of the most iconic people with just my iPhone, and that's never been done in our existence. And so I just hope that, sometimes the problem is that we celebrate artists too late, and we celebrate them post, obviously after they've passed. And so I'm hoping that we, and especially in this Web3 time, are understanding how important it is to celebrate how present we are in these iconic times. And not just for me, not to toot my own horn, but also tons of other amazing artists that were around. And so reminding people that, there has been a history, there has been these amazing people who have been significant in providing, all this in-depth like artwork and all these different shifts that we've experienced. And not just that, but I also went even further, because as in studying a lot of these women, I realized how interesting they are, in the way how they're all kind of obsessed with astrology. They all were very, very like just against authority, obviously. They really, really didn't always want to be like, they didn't always want to be like, oh, I'm a woman artist. Like, and that was the thing. Like, and that's something I don't even care about either. I just want to be an artist at the end of the day. But I also want to acknowledge that there is a systemic difference that happens when we are not intentional of being inclusive of women. You know what I'm saying? When there's tribalism of comfort, and of which we all know of our comforts, but all those types of things. So just touching on all of that stuff, in the way of how the artwork shifts based on what period of the astrological calendar you're on. So each piece is like dedicated to Aquarius, Capricorn, or Pisces, or Leo, Virgo, all those things. And they all shift based on that timing. And so, yeah, I feel like that's also like another little fun piece of it that is hopefully educational and fun, and just puts people in a different kind of mindset on how these different shifts in astrology really have dictated a lot of the different shifts in the world and our consciousness and our creativity.
And then to unpack the astrological states for each of these pieces. So each piece has 4 dynamic states that will update. 3 of them are tied to specific astrological periods. And then there's another still state when it's out of any of those 3 periods. But for each of the works, there's 3 specific periods that you related to them. Just wondering what's the significance. For example, like The World is a Mystery, inspired by Helen Lindeberg, is associated with Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius cycles. Like, why those cycles with Helen?
For sure. Well, I think most importantly, it has a lot to do with me just studying their work and understanding the different vision that the artist may have had. When you look at Helen Lundberg's work, you see a lot of like post-surrealism and kind of like abstraction and balance and dreamlike imagery and kind of like, just a different type of precision. And when you think about like Libras or Scorpios or Sagittarius, like Libra specific, they're very balanced, very social. Scorpio is very intense, but also a little secretive, could be dreamlike. And then Sagittarius for me specifically, adventurous, optimistic, potentially like very philosophical if you really dig deep. And I feel like those things kind of embody those people's work to me. And so I really wanted to make sure that I was also giving an ode to those artists in that way, so that I was also being able to match, the kind of different feeling of the different signs.
Amazing. And special treat for folks, now that you know that this is live for preview, we've set it up so that each of the 4 states will update every 30 minutes before the drop starts, before the auctions end. After the auctions end, though, everything will be, the dynamic state changes will be tied to the specific astrological cycles. So it'll update very infrequently throughout the year. So to get that sneak preview of all the states, now is the best time for that. And the drop itself, next Wednesday, November 15th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, it'll go live. It's 24-hour ranked auctions, so open to everyone to participate. Excited to see what happens there. And but the drop link itself, you'll see a bell at the top of the page. Click that bell for an extra little reminder if you want to participate in this drop. And then if anyone has any questions for Swopes, feel free to tag her in the chat. But Elise, it was a pleasure having you swing through, unpack a lot about your past and your upcoming collection, which I'm super excited for. And that December 7th sneak peek wallet integration partnership thing, that sounds very cool as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this again. I'm just in awe of this community. It's so amazing. So thank you for having me be a part of it. And I'm greatly excited and thrilled about our 3rd Nifty Gateway collection. Let's go.
Let's go. Boom. And next up, we have Patrick Amadon in the house. Patrick has been super inspiring to me just on the future art tip, thinking through everything that we're doing from first principles, leveraging internet scale, thinking about hard questions of how to leverage, writing into internet scale curation with digital future art. The man is a genius. So really excited to have him here at the WIP with us today. Not sure exactly what the update's going to be about, but I know it's going to be interesting as always. So Patrick, if you can hear me, unmute and take it away.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure listening to Swopes too. I mean, the hustling those layouts for cheeseburgers is pretty legendary. That's an art history background. I love that. I think that's so cool. Really, what do you want to talk about? I mean, there's kind of a lot going on. I'm a foreign agent, according to China. Did the 404 curation was interesting, went really well, had 146 submissions for that. And like we talked about earlier, I think so much of this space, scalability and otherwise, depends on independent curation, independent writing, right? We don't have discoverability of artists if we don't have people talking about the artists and contextualizing them. And I think the next step is how do we include them? How do we include them in a meaningful way, kind of into the financial equation of the space? Because, we can't expect people to work for free. And I feel like the writers right now are just kind of fighting for table scraps, really, which just isn't how it should be. And I think, but once we figure that out, I think we'll have a lot more eyes and a lot more artists, particularly, artists that aren't quite as well known yet. I think that's kind of the next step. It's not relying on and your ability to, play with social media to get seen.
Yeah. So I think like unpacking plans for 404, I think would be interesting. Most of the people here, I'm sure, have seen it kind of manifest and over the past few months kind of take shape. But I always think it's really interesting to share future plans with folks to kind of get those brain juices flowing and seeing if there's anyone else here that isn't a part or hasn't, like, for example, submitted to any of the other open calls for 404 to take part in the future. I think that would be awesome. And then, yeah, I know WG Meets is here. Is just like asking you to see if you want to talk about how you're probably going to be jailed after you release your next work. I think that could be interesting if you want to talk about that, but all good if not too.
Yeah, happy to. All right, so let's do 404, and then we'll talk about jail. It's funny. It's like it was like a couple year to like a couple decade sentence for the March thing, but now it's life in prison. Yeah, God bless the CCP. For artists, that's a whole new thing that came up today. We'll circle back to that in a second, but 404 it's an initiative, kind of just started with discoverability. Just watching a lot of artists, especially artists here through the bear market, try to figure it out, and just realizing how Twitter works. Right, Twitter is essentially just a giant tapestry of circles, and when you say something, it bounces around your circle. And if you say something that's particularly interesting and you get more engagement than you're used to, then it kind of goes out of your circle a little bit to kind of adjacent circles. But it makes it really, really tough for people with, a few thousand followers to get seen broadly across the space. And if we're relying completely on Twitter for discoverability, I mean, you can see why a lot of people like can't get their work seen, kind of on an equal level with some other people. So how do we address that? And that was kind of what the genesis of 404. I saw that Join had created a technology that lets you pull from a thread, right? So one of those little secrets about Twitter is that once you get more than about 100 replies, on like a shill post or something like that, Twitter will like kind of algorithmically determine what 100 you can see. So if you may have 500 replies, but you'll only see 100. So there's got to be a better way to get those, because you lose so many submissions on those threads once you get over 100. So Join had this tech that pulled every submission, put it into a collection to make it searchable and easily visible. So yeah, built an exhibition around that. It's done four issues so far. I'm going to be doing them quarterly starting in December. But the 4 issues so far, I've had 6,000 submissions. So basically any artist can submit one piece per month. So you got to pick, I know it's hard, but you got to pick one piece you want to share. You share that and it goes into a searchable, sortable collection with just art and artist. And then if you open it up, you can get a link to like where to mint it or where to buy it. But idea is just like, hey, how do we abstract the platform? How do we abstract the chain? How do we abstract, the social media presence, and just kind of boil it down to art and artist? And through that, kind of going through these catalogs, I found a bunch of artists that I just hadn't seen their work on Twitter. I hadn't been fed their work through the algorithm. So discovered a lot of really cool work and a lot of cool people. And, I wouldn't have done that if it was just on Twitter. And I spent a lot of time on Twitter, right? So it's a cool thing to go through. If you're an artist, like I highly recommend that you submit for it. Because, not only is it a good way to get seen by a lot of people, and, been working behind the scenes to get, 10 collectors or so per month to commit to buying work from it. But it'll reside in this library, and I'll announce it in a couple of weeks, but turning 404, it's officially a 501c3, it's a foundation. No plans to quote monetize it, right? I just want this to exist as like a public charity. So it can exist, and this can continue indefinitely. And a part of that is going to be this artist exhibition for visibility for artists. But also, I'm going to continue with the curation contests, because I think it's important to highlight curation and writing in the space. I think it's critical for us to be scalable, because you can't rely. the platforms do the best they can, but we can't rely on platforms, especially as we get bigger, to do discoverability or do context, do curation. That's going to take the community. So I think that's I don't know, something just want to encourage and want to see more of, and want to figure out kind of just the beginnings of how do we kind of financially reward people for participating, on that side of the spectrum. So December will be the next one, and excited to kind of see where that goes. But a lot of plans around that. And let's see, any questions about that one?
I saw some questions in the chat. I think we can probably aggregate those if you want to talk about jail next.
All right. Okay, so I did the thing in Hong Kong back in March. I put up a billboard, via our innovation gallery during the middle of Art Week, which is a government-sponsored thing in the middle of Hong Kong. So the billboard is the largest billboard in Hong Kong. It's the size of a city block. I didn't tell Art Innovation this, but I put up a giant surveillance camera, and every 10th frame or so would flash with protesters' names, their ages, their sentences. It would have little snippets of like journalists getting beaten up, just a bunch of text around the repression of the democracy and the freedom of speech protests. And it was up for 3 days. You couldn't quite capture with the naked eye because it moved fast, but if you had a camera, you could take a photo of it. So basically just put a bunch of pro-democracy propaganda in the middle of Hong Kong during Art Week. And then, for 3 days, and then the Hong Kong Free Press found out about it, and they wrote an article about this thing being up in Hong Kong, and they thought that was funny, and the provocation. And then immediately, kind of the Western press picked it up, and then the Chinese press picked it up, and it was this competing battle of, Chinese press is saying I'm pro-rioter, which I loved because I'm obviously very pro-rioter. I'm generally pro-rioter. But, it got picked up by global press and ended up being this big controversy over there. It got taken down. The government sent, essentially like thugs to the department store who owned the billboard and forced them to take it down. They threatened an Art Innovation Gallery. Art Innovation Gallery was like, hey, please sign. Our lawyers drew up some paperwork. Please sign this for us. It just says that you acknowledge that we didn't know what you were doing, and they needed it to get off the hook legally, apparently. And then, pretty soon after that, I had a cybersecurity expert helping me because of the fallout from it. And apparently China spent a good bit of money building some custom malware that we caught. But I got my computer pop, but obviously I keep my crypto and NFT stuff on a separate computer from my main workstation, which was good. Just general op security. So I got myself hacked by China, and I can't go there. It's the Portlandia meme, right to jail. We don't want that. So working on round two. Working on round two. Been spending the last 6 months building an application. I guess the most I can say before it releases, it's an application that disrupts the firewall. So gonna be distributing that broadly. I don't know. I feel like you want to lean into what makes your medium special, right? Banksy had walls, but we have digital art. We can do a lot with digital art, right? So excited to do something disruptive with that. So more to come on that. But I think probably beginning of December is kind of when that stuff should all go live.
I cannot wait for that. Just this sort of like performance on the internet, performance through the internet, and how it touches real life, real politics, real people. It's endlessly fascinating. It's just the internet as a canvas to impress various things across the world is insane. Absolutely amazing. So, like I said, I know there has been some questions in the chat. Show, you want to hit Patrick with some of those questions that have been coming your way?
Hey y'all, how's my audio?
5x5.
Awesome. Hey Patrick, what's going on, man?
Hey, good. Good to hear from you.
Likewise. We have a question from Brookhawk. He would like to know very briefly, can you explain what 404 is?
Sure. Yeah. 404 is the, kind of the famous era file not found, which, feels appropriate for, artists not being able to have their work seen, right? I feel like not everyone can have their work collected. There's a lot of art out there. But I think we can do a much better job in the space of, giving everyone an equal opportunity. I think that's one of the things that makes this, probably the thing that makes the space most special, honestly, is accessibility to art, right? Not only accessibility to experiencing art, but accessibility to making art, being able to make a living with art, right? Like you don't have to be like the married to the wife's brother's cousin of like Larry Gagosian to get a shot to like sell art and make art, right? And make a living. We've got people from all around the world able to meaningfully contribute to their living with art in a way that was not possible before NFTs and the digital art movement that we've started here. So I feel like a big part of that is how do we support that, right? How do we keep this going? How do we end up being this revolutionary movement in art history that empowers more artists than we've ever seen empowered before by a movement? Or we end up being like 7 dudes who sold art on blockchain. Wasn't that kind of funny? And ultimately just kind of like this weird little footnote in art history. Nothing's a given, right? So we have a lot of work to do to like make sure that the most interesting, most positive outcome actually comes through. So that's the origin of 404. But yeah, 404 is a foundation, but it's an art exhibition that is now quarterly for artists to share one piece of art and have their work be able to be seen.
That's awesome. We also have a question from Easy in Crypto. He would like to know, and I'm not 100% sure if you can, I guess, safely answer this or legally. You kind of touched on it, but I don't know. He would like to know more about how the CCP is involved in your current project.
Well, I hope they are not involved. I hope they have no idea what is happening with the current project. I just was, I've always been, a news junkie, right? And I just followed the, a lot of, my work started off digitally back in kind of 2012, 2013. I was making GIFs about the beginnings of the Syrian civil war, with kind of glitched images. I felt you could capture a lot of the really horrible stuff and actually show it to people. But if you glitched it, it would take just enough of that kind of real edge off of it that people would actually be able to digest it. So I did that. Got blocked by YouTube for being, supporting charism, just sharing art. But then, I've been following, Ferguson, Boris Nemtsov, just kind of things around the world for the past decade, doing kind of political art based on that. So when I was just following the democracy, the protests, right? It's interesting too, because, when the British handed over Hong Kong, China promised, okay, we're gonna preserve it as is, we're gonna have a very light touch, and then, go forward a few years, and they've crushed most of the freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, right? They went back on the promise and they really disrupted the lives of a lot of people there. And I feel like it's just a really good thing to be aware of as a cautionary tale, right? I think so many of our freedoms we take for granted. We feel they're, quote, our inalienable rights, but you are one law away from it going away. I don't care what country you're in, right? Even the US, right? Like our freedoms are fragile. And as we've seen in other places, they can vanish quick. So I think it was, I don't know. It was a piece. The Art Innovation Gallery was like, hey, do you want to put up art on a billboard in Times Square? I was like, nah, I'm good, thank you though. And they asked again, hey, do you want to put up some art on a floating boat in Miami? And I was like, definitely no thanks. But then, hey, do you want to put art on a billboard in Hong Kong during Art Week? And I was like, absolutely yes, let's do this. So it was just the timing worked out.
That's cool. Lastly, we have a question from Brookhawk. He would like to know, will there be a charity in the U.S.?
Yeah, so it's a 501c3. It's a U.S. charity. So we'll have all the if you're in the U.S., you can get your tax write-off and everything else. It's going to be having a permanent collection as a part of the foundation. So I have a couple people lined up for that already, but I'll be announcing all of it probably towards the end of this month. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to have some charitable institutions in here and things that aren't going to have a switch flipped and all of a sudden it becomes quote monetization, right? I just think it's really important for artists to have a path to discoverability, and I think that this and the community efforts to support this and draw eyeballs to the exhibitions with 404 and the curation contest and so forth, I think helps. So I want to keep that going indefinitely, and forming it as a foundation instead of as a company just seemed to make more sense with kind of with what the objectives are.
Amen, man. And just, yeah, again, you can't take anything for granted. As you're saying, nothing is a given in the space, especially a space as nascent and new as the one we find ourselves in. So doing the hard work, trying to make sure that this is something that won't just be a footnote in history is always, always, always really important to consider. And amazing to see folks like you doing the hard work and trying to make this into something absolutely massive that future generations can help participate in and change the world. So with that, Patrick, thank you so much, man, for joining us and sharing. Elise as well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us. And now I think is the time of the show where folks that are in this crazy virtual place that are whipping their snails around doing like jumps across the stage, we're going to get together and take a little virtual snapshot to commemorate today's show. And for that, we have another theme song for our videographer. So Dragonate, if you want to hit that, and then we can get into Paradox and he can direct us for this picture.
I'm busy complaining at show.
Just a humble cameraman looking for a tiny bit of attention. It's me, Paradox. Get your asses in line and smile for the fucking camera. No one cares about Matthew and Rizzle, that's for sure. It's about me, Paradox. I'm taking over the show.
It doesn't matter that I made my own theme tune, does it? What do you reckon? What other show has a theme tune for their cameraman? None. That's the whip. All right, cool. How am I sounding? 5x5, 10x10, whatever that maths is. Excellent. Okay, cool. So if you've not been listening, I am Paradox. I'm the resident whip videographer, and this is the point in the show where we take a group photo and I collect some video. So if you are new to the whip, I edit together a recap video of these events every single week, and you can catch them on Rizzle's Twitter. That's where we send the videos out, so keep an eye out for those. Okay, so today I want to do 2 shots. So the first one, I would like everybody that is in world, firstly, to dismount your worm or get out of your co-trip car or your Viper car, and I want you all to head over to the platform where the worms are, but don't get on one. Just stand at the bottom of the stairs, please. So bottom of the stairs where little green worms are. Let's see if we can get everyone here. Dragonate, feel free to play like a little bit of background music. Just low for this. Okay, any more stragglers? We've got Cooksy, Mr. Banana. Okay, essentially what we're going to do is when everyone's here, we are going to do a race to get on these worms. Is anyone else coming? So what you're going to do is you're going to, when I say, oh, someone's already got their worm, run up the stairs, grab a worm and shoot off forwards, and then we'll get the next shot. If you don't get worm, feel free to jump on a co-trip car. Okay, right. I think that's everyone that's going to be here, so in 3... Okay, just go. Go, 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 go! If not, grab a co-trip car. Okay, fade down for me, Dragon 8. Okay, so for the second shot, what we're going to essentially do is I'm facing the stage and I'm flying, you see, opposite the WIP banner. And I'm basically what I want you all to do is start all at the same area outside the castle and zoom up one of these jump pads. So if everyone can come towards the big snail right at the back of the back, let's see if we get one together. Let's make a little group. We'll get a few people, then there we go. Jugson's here, and a couple people, everyone's making their way. Okay, everyone comes down together so we can see where we're going. Nearly there. It's like herding cats, worms, and WIP fam. Okay, cool, right, we're gonna try and do this all in sync. So, quick as can, all together. Dragon 8 pop music for a minute whilst everyone gets together. Pretty good, Dragon 8. Okay, so I'm just gonna get into my place. Nearly there. Okay, right, so go for the ramp that is straight in front of you. Okay, we're gonna do this. I'm recording. So 3, 2, 1, go, 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 go! Straight up that ramp. Nice. Okay, that's my end shot. I'll give you that clip early so you can see that. Alright, cool. Okay, so yeah, that's everything from me this week. I will see you all next week. Until then, the Paradox out. Cheers.
Oh my god, that was like the funniest, like most ridiculous thing in a long time. Yo, thank you Paradox for shooting the group shot. I can just only imagine what this looks like. We were talking about this on the podcast. I'm like, you see just a bunch of worms flying through a screen. You don't appreciate that these are on the blockchain and rigged for the metaverse and interoperable NFTs and like, all the stuff that goes into the cool experience that we had today. So, big shout out Swopes with the incredible stories. Patrick the legend, man, I remember that Hong Kong thing and just thinking that was like the dopest thing I had seen in such a long time. Killer guests today. Fam, everybody, thank you for coming out and participating. If you have not signed the guest book, make sure you do. We're giving away these worm riders. They weren't originally rigged, but thanks to Paradox and 9/0, they are now. So you got one of these NFTs. We can get you the rigged one if you want to ride around on your worm in the future as well. So make sure you sign the guest book. It's on the stage. I'll make your life easy for you if you're hanging out here, and I'll drop the link as soon as I can find it in a second. I don't know. I'll find it in a second. You all will work with me. Here it is. Anyway, so that's everything, y'all. We got a nice, another awesome WIP coming up next week, so stick around for that. And then I believe we're off for a week before we come back for WIP's Given. So the next 2 out of 3 weeks will be killer one, and then we got to give y'all a break and us a break and like eat something or something at one of these weeks. So thank you everybody. I'm gonna hot potato the mic over to Matt to wrap things up, but I think we got everything. And thanks everyone for dropping the screenshots. This is hilarious. Thanks y'all. Over to Matt.
Nice golf applause. Next week we have the Broadside crew coming through with a meaty segment of the WIP, and then we have the Decentraland Music Festival that we're working with Babe Ackner to put together a little something there. So look forward to that. Again, massive shout out to Swopes and Patrick for swinging through, telling us what they've been cooking up. Absolutely amazing on that front. And with that, let's cue the theme song for the Afties and let's get into it with show.
Wait, is this thing on? Yeah,
opinions, thoughts. Let's go.
Ride my worm show.
Yo, what's Yo, what's up, fam? How's my audio? My 2x2 or 5x5? What's up? Awesome. Hey, check this out. If you're brand new to this shit, this is the afties. This is the aspect, the portion of this entire thing where I'm talking a lot of shit. I'm dissecting what was presented by the presenters, and I'm just talking about shit. This isn't your daddy's spaces or your sexy ass mommy's Twitter spaces that she likes to listen to at 3:45 a.m. at night, sneakily under the covers or in the shower when everyone is sleeping. Yo, so check this out. Check this shit out. I need a little background picture, so I'm gonna share. I just want to share this for added effect. You can click on me just for added effect. I got two things to talk about because we were talking about all that boring ass Sam Bankman-Fried shit. You know, I know that you think that it's boring. So I'm like, okay, you know, I've been talking about this shit. I wanna share a story, and then I wanna do something that's a little abnormal when it comes to the afties about something else, and we'll get to it. So shout out to everybody who's still here at the afties that didn't just dip. This should be pretty interesting. All right, like, all right. Yo, shout out to Conwolf. The Stowaway knows the deal. He knows the deal. So if you've been living under a rock after God knows how many years, 14 years, I think, Rockstar Games has finally announced that GTA 6 is going to be released very soon. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not a gamer, that's for kids, blah, 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 like, I got you. Fine, that's cool. Hold on to those thoughts. It's fine. To me, it means something different because if you look on the screen to the right over here, they had a little thing that they wrote. They said, oh, next month marks the 25th anniversary of Rockstar Games. Thanks to the incredible support of our players worldwide, we have had the opportunity to create games we are truly passionate about. Without you, none of this would be possible. We are so grateful to all of you for sharing this journey. In 1998, Rockstar Games was founded on the idea that video games could come to be as essential to the culture as any other form of entertainment, and we hope that we have created games you love in our efforts to be part of the evolution. We are very excited to let you know that in early December we will release. Okay, whatever the fuck that shit. You look. What does this have to do with me? I wrote a tweet. And let me preface this. Anybody can lie, right? Anybody, and you know me, during the afties, I'm embellishing, I'm doing things for comedic effect. I am showing you how fucking savage I am when it comes to fucking using my mind to craft things that takes you days to unravel. Or you realize that, holy shit, you just thought of something when you're on the toilet about what I just said a few days ago. This is a true story, and I can easily say, oh, it's a true story and it not be totally fucking true, but I think that the story is interesting enough for me to tell it completely. In 1998, me and my mom went to this mall that's in New York City, and everybody knows it's on 34th Street. It's called Manhattan Mall. It's our mall is different from your mall where you're from. It's not Mall of America. It's not King of Prussia. It's not any of these fucking. It's not a strip mall. It's not none of these fucking things. Our malls have like floors and levels. Think of it like a corporate floor that has an open middle space that anybody can just jump off into, and there's always a fucking water fountain or some kind of shit in the middle. Instead of there being a water fountain in the middle of this mall, there was a little stage. And me and my mom, we were shopping because I believe it was probably like, was it school or something? I don't know. But I like the small. The small always had like a cool ass vibe to me. Me and my mom were shopping, and these guys, they had a presentation. They said, hey, we're a bunch of game developers. We currently have this one game called Grand Theft Auto, and it's Grand Theft Auto, I believe it was 2. Grand Theft Auto 2. It's a top-down game where you ride around in cars and like you're shooting things up, and it's fun and it's wholesome and it's great. Wholesome, right? They had their little show and they were like, hey, so we're having a little contest and we're looking for ideas. We need ideas. Give us your best idea. That's all it was. That's all the fucking thing was. Give us your best idea. Like, all right, you got it. And then they were like, yeah, just write it on a piece of paper, then just slide into a little box. So, oh man, shout out to my mom for being patient as fuck. So this is what happened. You got a bunch of people, they're writing things down, they're coming up to them, and like, they're like laughing, giggling, blah, blah, blah. And then about an hour or so goes by. And I'm writing. I'm just writing. And if you knew me in real life, you would know that when it comes to like crafting shit like this, when it comes to writing stuff and the like, it's I go there. I can really go there. It's like it's a fucking superpower. I believe at this time in '98, I was RPGing in AOL chat rooms. I was one of the OGs when it comes to writing. So if you don't know what that is, it's like it was a form of advanced Dungeons and Dragons that got a little NSFW because you would have anybody and their mother hop in and say the sickest, craziest shit. But when it comes to IRC in the form of AOL RPGing, that's another little thing. A little feather in my cap. But so at this time I was a kid doing that shit though. So I'm writing and I'll just keep writing, and then all of a sudden one of the founders, they're Rockstar Games. One of the founders, there was 3 guys. One of the founders, he looks like a cross between a skinny, lanky Sam Bankman-Fried and our Matthew, as in Nifty Time. I swear, like a little cross between the two, but handsomer, because Matthew adds the handsome to that pairing. Shout out to my bro Matthew. So and taller. So after a while, he notices that I'm writing, and it's one of those, they give you those little fucking pencils without an eraser. So like I'm crossing shit out, and like I'm using all the tools and tricks that I learned in school and shit. And I just keep writing, and it's 2 pages now. I'm just like flowing. And the guy's like, he's just looking at me, and he's looking at the page. And then all of a sudden, there's no one else around anymore. Like everybody left. And they're starting to pack up the stage and all this shit. And I'm just still there. And my mom was like, is everything okay? Is everything? And I'm like, yeah, I'm almost finished. I need to get this out. And, now, if you didn't know any better, right? It's one of those like, and this is one of those spectrum moments. So shout out to the homies, to friends who are on the spectrum, who are extremely gifted. I am not, but I acknowledge you, and I love you, and I cherish you and your gifts. This is one of those spectrum moments where you're so locked into the fucking zone that you are like, it's like, okay, what is going on, right? So eventually I stop and I finish, and I'm like, all right. And then I just like that. At this point, the dude is like literally standing next to me. He's like trying to look over my shoulder to see. So at this point, I just give it. I'm like, all right, I give it to him. So then he looks at it, and I'm I'm born of the internet. So like, I type better than I write. So it's all chicken scratch. It's all fucking chicken scratch. so, so he's just like, yeah, just tell me, just tell it to me. Explain what this is. Right, thank you, Easy. I know, right? Shit, I'm a savage when it comes to a keyboard. My WPM as a teenager was like, whoo, holy shit. But when it comes to writing and in cursive, oh god. So I basically explain a very vivid through line that involves a kid at a prep school who tends to cut school and become super savage in a local town. And what I mean by savage is he starts stealing things from the local stores. He also makes friends with the store owners. He trashes it. He has a slingshot and he's like destroying things. He commandeers a local bus. He manages to throw paint everywhere. It's pure fucking destruction. And while he's in school, he's doing all kinds of things like there's graffiti everywhere. He has a bunch of people that he's adversaries with, and he finds creative ways to fuck with them. He takes glues an entire school floor. He ties all the desk chairs together. It gets very vivid. At this point, the guy is like, he's enthralled with this. He's like, what? And it goes into detail of like, hey, instead of it being top down, it's 3D. It's not isometric. It's full on graphics. It's like full on graphic 3D. You're immersed in a 3D world where this kid is immersed in his school. And he's taking tests, but he's actively doing crazy ass shit. And he's rambunctious, he's precocious. And the guy at this point, he says, hold on one second. Hold on. He looks over at his partner. He's like, hey, I forgot the guy's name. He's like, hey, dude, come over here. And the guy, he's like, hey, he has one of those faces. Oh, wait. But before I get to this part, let me just say, this is one of the many moments in my life where I've learned that when it comes to pitching something, when it comes to like an interview, that this would happen to me over and over. And I've learned and I've adapted, and I learned that it's still the same fucking way. And it's not me talking at length, and I know you're like, all right, get to the fucking point. Trust me, I've tried just summarizing things. I'm very good at an elevator pitch. I want to bring you into what's happening here. They're people, they will age shame you, or they will judge you by, unfortunately, I hate this, they will judge you by your ethnicity. They'll judge little things without actually being receptive to gold. It takes someone who's seen gold, who's created gold, who's built gold, to know what gold looks like without having any kind of prejudice from where the gold is coming from. All right, so this is one of those situations where the guy that looked like Sam Bankman-Fried / Matthew Nifty Time, he felt some tingles. He felt something. He felt hair stand on the back of his neck. The things that I was describing, I only gave you a little taste, but ultimately 3D world immerse, being able to hop in and out of shit, steal it at a whim, a kid hot wiring, like this is toxic inner city bullshit, right? But the way I explained it, as like this being this kid's preparatory life was something that caught his attention. His partner in crime had one of those fake smile faces, like, hey, like door-to-door salesman. And he's like, oh, look at this kid. Oh, he wrote all these scribble scrabble things. It's 2 fucking pages long. God, I wish I could fucking read it. And then he's listening to the story. He's nodding his head. He's crossing his arms. And then I get to a point where I fuck up in the presentation where I say, yeah. So then he steals a machine gun rifle, and he holds up another bus driver, and he steals a fucking bus, and he goes through the fucking streets, and shit is set on fire. Everything is set on fire. And then so at that point they were just like, okay, stop. Thank you so much, man. That was a good story. Thank you. That was incredible. That was great. They give me a t-shirt and a keychain. And the t-shirt said Rockstar on it. They said, thanks. That was seriously one of the best things that we've heard. I'm embellishing. I'm putting that little kid like spin on it, but really I was actually way more eloquent. And I promise I wasn't cursing while I was presenting. I was way more controlled. Now I'm a little unhinged and savage because I'm old as fuck and I don't give a fuck about any guardrails or precautions or any kind of other politically correct things. So that was 98. Remember, Grand Theft Auto 2 had the ability to steal cars and things like that. It wasn't immersive 3D. You were able to get weapons, things like that, but it wasn't. There was something missing. Grand Theft Auto 3 comes out. The main character is Claude, though. Now we know it's Claude. Back then he was nameless, but we know it's Claude, right? Claude was able to steal shit in real time. They were moving vehicles in real time. There were certain things that I didn't know. I was like, okay, whatever, right? But then another game comes out. Another game came out after the success of Grand Theft Auto 3. It was called Bully. Now, if you played this game, if you know this game, it was about a kid in a prep school, and he wasn't outright like precocious. I mean, like he wasn't like mischievous outright. You had to develop him into that. The kid would sneak out of school. He would deal with there's a bully aspect, right, where the name comes from. There's an important part of the story that I gave. Oh shit, fuck, I'm already giving it away, right? So he would get points from being as mischievous as possible. There was a nearby neighborhood with certain stores that were dilapidated and certain stores that were open. And there was only a certain amount of time where he can go there and he can get tools and he could befriend the store owners. There was a bus involved. There were certain things that were involved that I didn't think about until years later. There was a bully aspect. Well, when I was coming up, I had issues. Not necessarily, there were people tried to bully. I just fucking went to war. I had some pretty savage, violent moments as a child. But I explained that this particular character had these conflicts and he had creative ways of dealing with them. The main character, the look of the character looks very similar to myself. In 1998, different ethnicity though, different hair texture, but very similar looks, certain small minor details. Bully, what Bully did after Grand Theft Auto 3 was let people know that, hey, we have the ability to make some incredible shit. Not just this franchise, but we can make many different things happen. It put Rockstar Games on the map. Grand Theft Auto 3 put Rockstar Games on the map. They weren't sure if they could do it again. Vice City came out. But then they were like, okay, this is all you motherfuckers can do. Bully set them apart as a massive AAA gaming studio, the de facto that could not be touched by Ubisoft, Bethesda. Well, Bethesda Softworks came around later. When they it made them millions and millions of dollars. And it took me a couple of years after I played Bully, after coming to the realization, like, hey, this is really familiar. I was like, yo, this is dope that, you know, I wasn't in a position to facilitate this story, this game in 98 as a child. I'm glad that you were able to take this idea and make it into something without giving any credit to the source. Some random kid in a fucking mall 25 years ago. There's refutable evidence everywhere in the court of law. Anybody can come up with this. It's so obvious. It's a kid in school talking about. It's so obvious. There are a lot more little intricate things about Bully, but ultimately, all I remember is that I have a fucking undersized, overwashed t-shirt and a keychain as a thank you, while you have billions of dollars over the course of 25 years. So no. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I really enjoy Grand Theft Auto and playing the games. So I'm like, hey, I'm happy that I was able to contribute to your success because you're contributing to me having a pastime and things like that. So believe it or not, that's my story. That's what went down. I just wandered into a mall and I just creatively did shit because I really was typing my ass off as an RPGer at the time, and it just came naturally. And, you know, the rest is literally history. Next up, speaking of ideas, giving away ideas that are extremely valuable, giving away things like, we're all creators here, we're builders here. You have an idea, you manifesting an idea is another thing. Anybody can have an idea, but manifesting an idea is another thing. That's why I can't be fully angry at Rockstar or take it to court. I can't prove it. The what I wrote, I forgot if I even still have. I don't know if they kept the papers or if they gave it back to. I feel like they just gave it back to me and told me to summarize the chicken scratch. But even then, it's changed. We know rules when it comes to ideas. You change it, 75% of the idea. You flesh it out this particular way. There's all kinds of things. There's no need to even go to court. Who wants to go to court? Right? So, speaking of court, library.com. Obviously, remember because I am an Odyssey user. We lost to the SEC over some bullshit. They're selling their product. They're selling all their assets, but not LBC asset, not their coin. They were accused of having a coin that was it's whatever. So unfortunately, they have to sell a product that is awesome. a streaming platform, a video streaming platform that, in my eyes, is a rival to YouTube. Odyssey was incredible. Thank you, Rizzo. Unfortunately, this came to my attention way too late. They're selling a streaming platform. You can place a bid in order to acquire the asset. Normally, you know how we are with bidding. Like, we're some of the biggest sharks in the fucking space here. We know how it is. But when you see something like this shiny and like the tires are good, I want to know. I want to ask all of you in the voice channel. If you had something like Odyssey, if you actually, can I pull up Odyssey? Let me see. Actually, yeah. I can't spell clearly. You see this shit? Let's go to odyssey.com. I haven't been in so long. Okay. Oh. See if it loads up. Okay, there we go. Come on. Is it blocking anything? Okay, cool. It's not blocking any scripts. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, now it's all black. It used to be like a purple background. Let's see if we can get some color here. Okay, whatever. All right, fuck it. All right, so Odyssey, a streaming platform that allowed free speech for real. A streaming platform that had a lot of cool things going for it, where you were able to live stream in a way that allowed you to accrue coins in real time, the LPC token. You were able to there were small things. You were able to tip not only your post, but you were able to tip anyone who commented on your stream or your video. So not like super chats in YouTube. You're able to tip back to anyone engaging with your product. You were also able to write long form text posts. So not just put a video up on the platform. You were able, so it's kind of like adding Notion, kind of like adding like the long Twitter threads, but on this platform, and have people engage, tip the post, kind of like publish OX. It incorporated a bunch of different things onto it. I felt like it was so novel that I would buy it. I would buy it. But in this in this particular climate, you know, we're in a downturn. It's not feasible like it was maybe in 2021 to acquire this platform. But at the same time, if there was no bullshit, this platform would not be forced to be sold. Then I was thinking, how the hell do you even maintain the value prop of a streaming platform when you have a thing like YouTube that's forcing YouTube ads down your throat? You can't even use uBlock. You can't, like I showed you 2 weeks ago. They're forcing ads. They're putting it invasively. They put ads in between your fucking videos. They put it right in your face. It's like, I don't care about Lubriderm CQ. Where Odyssey was great was they gave you the option. They were working towards giving you the option to have ads in a non-invasive place, not even played during the fucking video. Somewhere on the page that if you didn't want to look, you didn't have to look, but yet you were still monetized as an option in addition to having the LBC library token as a means of you making money. And also on top of it, the most novel thing I've ever seen, you were able to use the library token to boost the viewers of your video, to boost the outreach of your video, to boost engagement. You can not only accrue, you could accrue the LBC token by creating awesome content, being tipped it, You could also earn it by watching other people's content just by itself. It was a reward. There were so many novel ways that people were being able. God, I can't even speak anymore. I'm so excited about the fucking idea, and I miss it. Let me ask you all this. This is where, like, I'm getting too wordy and I'm getting too far in the weeds. Unmute your microphone. I need your advice. How do we go about monetizing a platform? Let's say we all in the voice channel, we're all equal holders, equal owners of the Odyssey streaming platform. What are the strengths and weaknesses in terms of competition with a YouTube or a Vimeo?
Storage.
How do we go? Sorry, go ahead.
Storage. Video storage.
But in what? Yeah. So I was thinking about this. Okay, video storage. That means that we would need some kind of offshore server, right? Like an underwater offshore server that's like untouchable, right?
And a fuck ton of it, because video storage can be very, very, very large.
Yeah, exactly. And, having cloud storage and then video storage. It's some kind of physical something. It also needs a redundant backup too, because dealing in a space that we deal in. I was also thinking about DDoS attacks, constant DDoS attacks, and we don't want people losing their content, because then we would have errors with accounting for payment, right? Library token payment, or also just fiat dollar payment. Well, guys, unmute your microphones. I want to brainstorm. What if we owned? What if the WIP.eth? Well, actually, wouldn't just be WIP.eth, right? I would say the WIP community owned, in partnership with meme.com. I'm tying all of us up into this fucking thing. Let's say we all collectively owned a streaming platform based in our space, involved in crypto, within crypto. How will we go about? It's not even about being competitive with YouTube / Google / Alphabet. I'm gonna get to content in a moment, but I'm thinking about the hard things. Anytime I want to acquire something, I'm thinking about the hard things. I'm thinking about the legalities, right? Let's say if I were ever to be sued over something erroneous happening, some kind of mistreatment of a customer, a user, some kind of thing. I need to think backwards. How much, was there some kind of shady financial things going on? Because once I assume control, shout out to Billions. Once I assume control of this product, that means that I am validating all fucking transactions from day zero of the creation of this Odyssey streaming platform till now. That I'm saying that I looked over it and I approved. So that means that I'm assuming the liabilities. Does the code fucking work? Is it just like 10 videos that I stream and then the rest don't fucking work? And then I'll be sued. Yeah, I was going to bring up DLive in a moment, right? So a crypto streaming platform, how would I keep this afloat? I talked about money. I talked about legalities. What kind of lawyer? What do I need a lawyer to look at? Storage, search functionality, token distribution. What are the issues that I need to be prepared for?
I guess there has to be something in place, even though we'd want to be fully free speech, to take down, like, if there was like physical threats or, certain things that are just, illegal, basically past like free speech stuff. So some kind of filter or personnel to be able to review that. It would probably be better to have real people actually review this stuff, because we've seen how, the algos just, ruin it, basically.
Very good point. Here's my issue. I'm thinking, hey, we need to get into profitability. That it sounds like if I need to hire a person to look over these things, that's money I'm losing. Then on top of it, what's the best way for me to put this? Shit. With YouTube, one of their biggest issues is over policing. Do we want to over police and become YouTube where creativity isn't creativity? How do I put guardrails in place without stifling content creativity with over policing, but also being careful when it comes to things like motherfuckers being assholes and posting child pornography, or so politically not even left and right, it's just out of the stratosphere with ridiculousness and just over I don't know, it's not even politics anymore, it's just some kind of neurosis.
Well,
how do I
you simply have to define a set of terms that make sense. Like, you can be for free speech, but that doesn't mean that you have to allow shit like child porn. You can still ban certain things from the platform, and that's not against free speech. And if anyone fucking complains about it being against free speech because the platform won't allow child porn on there, then you can say sorry. you can give them the finger and say suck it, because it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you're still if you run the platform, you get to freaking decide.
People don't read the fine print, they don't read terms of service. How would I enforce terms? How would I be able to enforce it without over policing? Because I'm gonna call a spade. I would add a non-safe for work section to Odyssey in order to increase viewership and usership. I would cross YouTube and Pornhub with the Reddit thread, Twitter thread aspect, having it be monetized. I would add this type of shit. But then how would I filter out? We all know kids that are like, they're under the age of 18, and then when you ask, oh, are you 18 or over, you still click yes anyway, and then hide it from mom and dad. How do I stop that shit?
You can't. Plain and simple. You can't. And about enforcing rules for content without over policing, you also can't. You would have to have a system on there and allow the general public users to report things, which would obviously require manpower or filtering of reports or something in order to go through them and see what they are, and then having to go and manually check and make sure.
As a product, I would have full-on porn on this website in a not safe for work section where the content, the porn creators would be paid through a token, in addition to having a Mr. Beast, no pun intended, all pun intended, doing wholesome charity work on the opposite end, while having some of the greatest writers of our generation writing on this thing. I would also go as far as having a Kai Cenat, instead of doing a prison stream, having something where creators are having real-time input from their audience tipping them to do things in episodes. Let's say it's like a movie, but it's like a what would you do? Like that book. Turn the page to 97 if you want to see this person get smacked in the face. Or do this. It's like Big Brother, but scripted, but the script is determined by... There's so many things. I would want to own a streaming platform because of the power that it entails, but I don't know how to add guardrails. This is kind of an issue. So the reason why I bring this up is because this issue was in the library Discord server where, to be honest, I didn't like a lot of the people who ran the library foundation. Only my homegirl who got me hooked up there, and there was also another dude that was he did some technical cool shit and he helped me out. Everyone else was kind of like on some kind of like the dude that was working at Rockstar that kind of had the fake smile and was like just they were kind of prejudgy instead of like being more so open. My point is, I want to start looking at things that we can acquire. I don't think that DAOs are dead. I don't think that collective ownership and partnerships legally in the crypto space should be dead or have some kind of red flag or be fearful of the CFTC and the SEC or anyone else or the IRS being on some bullshit. If we collectively acquired a product like this, we would no longer need to use Discord to facilitate things. We would have the WIP Meetup stream live on a platform that we control, with a healthy token economy flowing in and out of it, through and around, propping itself up in multiple ways, displaying artists that we know, having a steady stream of reels, displaying product artwork like a Sotheby's, but making it stream, people bidding in real time. If you're still with me, if you're still listening, this is all the gold that I've been taking eons to fucking get to. I wish that we could own some shit like this. Lastly, I'll leave us with this. If you didn't notice this morning, BlackRock files for an Ethereum ETF. Oh, no, not ETF, pardon me. An Ethereum trust in Delaware. Immediately, prices started to fucking start shaking and moving. So we know what the catalyst is. We know what time it is. An Ethereum trust before the Bitcoin ETF fucking launches. These are the big motherfuckers. This is what I was telling you, where normally us degens are at odds with the BlackRock. They are the enemy. And not just like the quote unquote the man, the enemy. No, they move counter to us. Us small holders and movers and shakers and innovators in this space who have acquired and who are accruing value through many different ways. These are the types that look to bleed the space dry and then refill it with their kind of toxic water and then benefit from any fruitful things that sprout. In this case, there are other toxic entities that are fucking around with things. Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase, to be specific. Goldman Sachs, to be specific. BlackRock is at odds with those motherfuckers anyway, and they're saying, hey, no, we want this shit to pop off. We want this shit to pop off. So us as degens, it's in our best interest that this behemoth who's fucking with the other behemoths are our temporary allies on the chessboard. Think about it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. If you still stuck around, if you still listen to all that, I'm just giving you fucking information, man. I know it's a lot. I know like, no one wants to fucking hear anyone talk forever and bitch and moan. You got things to do. You got to go use things. I don't know, but much love, and I'll see you later.